What is going on, everyone? My name is the California Cougar, and yes, it is that time of year. It is time to make the predictions for the Major League Baseball playoff season, or the postseason as they like to call it. But yeah, it's time to make the predictions for the Major League Baseball postseason. I'm sorry it's been a while since I made a video. There's going to be another video coming up this weekend that I will be making an important update in, so you won't want to miss that. But for now, let's talk about the postseason. Okay, so first off, this is a little bit late, and I realize that. I missed both wild card games and unfortunately also game 1 of the NLDS, both the Cards Braves and the Dodgers Nationals. So yeah, I have to keep those in mind. But nonetheless, I still think we can make some valid predictions here. So let's get right into them. So I'm going to start off with the National League, and then I'm going to go to the American League, and then finally the World Series. So let's start off with the National League. So on Twitter, I made predictions for the wild card, and that was that the Nationals would win the wild card game with a score, I think it was like 7-5, or it was either 6-4 or 7-5. Those are my two scores. I think it was 6-4 for the Nationals Brewers game, actually. And I predicted that the Nationals would win, and the Nationals did win, albeit a score of 4-3, thanks to a big Juan Soto single and a Trent Grisham error that ultimately scored 3 runs for the Nationals. The Nationals were down 3-1 in the 8th inning. Josh Hader was pitching, and Juan Soto hit a 3-run bases-loaded single. So, yeah, the Nationals ended up winning that game because of it. And now they are playing the Dodgers. Unfortunately, the Dodgers took a 1-0 lead on them last night after beating the Nationals 6-0. No thanks to the Nationals bullpen. I mean, Patrick Corbin did just fine. It was the bullpen that gave it away for him. And, of course, the fact that their bats were just quiet the whole night. I don't think that's going to be the case throughout the whole series. I do think the Nationals are going to take 1, maybe 2 games somewhere in the NLDS, but ultimately I do think, as much as I want the Nationals to win this series, like I really want the Nationals to win this series, they haven't won a postseason series in, I don't think, ever, actually. I actually don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, they've never made it to the World Series. So yeah, they don't have much luck in the postseason. And of course, Giants fan, they're playing the Dodgers. Giants fans always want the Dodgers to lose. So yeah, it would be nice to see the Dodgers no longer in the playoffs, but I do think the Dodgers are still going to win it in 5 games. I think it's going to go to 5. I think the Nationals can take them to 5. They've got Strasburg pitching tonight. They've got Scherzer pitching game 3. Dodgers do have Kershaw tonight, but we all know Kershaw's history in the postseason. They do have Ryu in game 3. Again, Ryu's history in the postseason really isn't the best, but he did, I think it was against the Nationals that Ryu did almost throw a no-hitter against him on. So, yeah, I would not be surprised to see the Dodgers sweep the Nationals here, but I do expect the Nationals to take at least 1, maybe 2 games. So, yeah, my final prediction, Dodgers in 5. Let's move on to the Cardinals versus Braves now. Now, the Cardinals actually stunned the Braves in game 1. I think the Braves were up 3-1, but then the Cardinals had like a 6-run ninth or something like that. I don't know. They had a big late-game surge, and Mark Melancon really blew it for the Braves. The Braves did make a surge of their own in the ninth, but it just wasn't quite enough, and the Cardinals ended up winning 7-6. So the Cardinals have a 1-0 lead on the Braves, which is actually kind of surprising. I thought the Braves would sweep the series, to be honest, but the Cardinals managed to take 1 from them. And if the Cardinals can keep up the momentum, they could win the series. They've got Jack Flaherty pitching tonight, I think. And Jack Flaherty's been super hot in the second half. So, yeah, I do think the Cardinals will at least take this to 5 games, but ultimately, I'm going to go with the Braves again. Braves in 5 is my final prediction. Their pitching's not quite the best. They had Keuchel pitch last night. He pitched well. I think they've got, I want to say it's Fulton-Navich tonight. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then Soroka in game 3. Again, I don't know the Braves pitching schedule as much, but yeah, I know the Cardinals have Jack Flaherty tonight. That's the main thing I do know with them. But still, I do think the Braves are going to take the series still. 5 games, Braves, move on. which leads us to an NLCS between the Braves and Dodgers. Now, I do think the Braves can take the Dodgers, but the problem is the pitching. Can the pitching pitch well and can their hitting stack up against the Dodgers rotation? I do think they can. Freddie Freeman can hit really well. Josh Donaldson can hit well. Ronald Acuna, he was part of the rally yesterday against the Cardinals. And of course, Ozzie Albies, he can hit. Nick Markakis can hit. It's just the question. The question is, can the pitchers match up against the Dodgers hitters? And I really don't know. I don't think this series goes to 7. I do think, unfortunately, the Dodgers are going to take this series as well. This time, it's going to be in 6 games against the Braves. Dodgers will be, once again, going to the World Series. So that's my final prediction. Dodgers in 6. With that, we move on to the American League. Now, the American League, I actually predicted the Oakland Athletics would win the wild card game 7-5 over the Tampa Bay Rays. That was not the case. The Rays actually won this game pretty easily. 5-1 was the score. Charlie Morton had a really good game despite a shaky first inning. And the bullpen was just lights out. So, yeah, the Rays won this game with ease, 5-1. And honestly, even though I think they could match up well against the Astros, they have the pitching to match up well, I think the Astros take this series. I do think the Rays will get one game somewhere in there, but nonetheless, my prediction is Astros in 4. The Astros starting rotation is just way too OP, I think, for the Rays bats to really stand any kind of chance against. So, yeah, I don't really feel too good about the Rays' chances in the playoffs. Astros in 4. With that, we move on to the other ALDS series, the big one, Twins versus Yankees. Now, this series is going to be like just a barn burner because they're like the same team essentially almost. Both of them have bats that can hit home runs for days. Neither of them have the best pitching in the world, but their pitching is serviceable. So, with that being said, there is one key difference between the teams that I'm going to get to, and it's going to ultimately be the deciding factor on who wins this series. But yeah, like with the Yankees, they were injured for half the year, and they're still in the playoffs. They still won 100 games this year. The Twins, no one thought the Twins were going to be the best team in the AL Central, and yet they crushed everybody. So, yeah, like, it's going to be a good series, I think, overall. But the key difference here is the bullpen, and that's where I think that's what I think is going to separate the Twins from the Yankees, because the Yankees bullpen is just lights out. I mean, Ottavino, Britton, and Chapman pitch in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. Like, even if their starters don't make it to the 5th inning, they're both like they have so many more people in there. Chad Green, Luis Cessa. There's so many people in there that they could just throw out there that could pitch just absolutely lights out for the Yankees, and I think that's going to make the difference, and that's why the Yankees are going to win this series in 5 games. All right, with that, we move on to the ALCS between the Astros and the Yankees, and again, like, this is going to be a tough series to predict because I do think the Yankees have the hitting to match up against the Astros' OP starting rotation. The Yankees also have the bullpen to take on the Astros' bats. The problem here is if the Astros can score early, it's going to be pretty hard to score back on them because the Astros' bullpen's pretty good too. So, yeah, it's going to be tough for the Yankees to match or to keep up with them, I think. I do think it's going to be a really good series. It's going to go 7 games, I have a feeling. But in the end, I think the Astros pitching is just going to be way too much for the Yankees. So with that, my final prediction, Houston Astros win the ALCS in 7 games. And that's ironic because, remember, I was saying Yankees are going to win the World Series. Yankees are going to win the World Series. This is their year. But that Zach Greinke trade, man, that made a huge difference in my predictions for this postseason. So because of that, I do think this is where the Yankees' road ends. So yeah, with that, we move on to the World Series between the LA Dodgers and the Houston Astros. It's a rematch of the 2017 World Series, and honestly, I think this one's going to go the same way. Sorry, Dodgers fans, but you're going to lose your third World Series in a row. And it's going to hurt once again, just like the 2017 World Series did, because this one's also going to go 7 games. That's my prediction. I mean, we're going to see Kershaw versus Verlander. We're going to see Yinjin Ryu versus Garrett Cole. Zach Greinke versus Walker Buehler. It's like these rotations are really good. Really good matchups. The bats are really good. I mean, on the Dodgers, Corey Seager, Cody Bellinger, Jock Peterson can hit for power. Who else do they have? Gavin Lux, they have the rookie hitting. Max Muncy can hit well for power. They have a lot of big hitters out there. Justin Turner, when he's healthy, can hit well. But the Astros match up just as well. George Springer, Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa. They've got Yuli Gurriel hitting well this season. Michael Brantley is out there hitting really well. Super underrated this year. And not to mention, they also have Yordan Alvarez, who's going to win Rookie of the Year. So, yeah, the Astros, I think, match up just a little bit better. And plus, I do think the Astros have the better bullpen between the two teams. Kenley Jansen's having a little bit of a down year. So, yeah, because of that, I think both teams will score early on. Either that or it'll be a shutout. It'll just be a pitcher's duel for the most part. Oh yeah, the Astros also have Wade Miley, who's a very solid fourth option. The Dodgers don't really have that solid fourth. They could use Rich Hill or Tony Gonsolin or Kenta Maeda. I just don't think that matches up well with Wade Miley for the Astros, especially since Wade Miley has experience against the Dodgers in the postseason. So, yeah, I think because of that, it's going to be that key difference that leads the Astros to the World Series. But again, this is going to go 7 games. It's going to be a very good, fun series to watch nonetheless. The Astros have always been a fun team to watch, but yeah, sorry Dodgers fans. You're going to experience your third World Series loss in a row, which is the first time since, I don't even know when. I think it was the Tigers around 100 years ago or something like that. I don't even know. It's been a long time since a team lost 3 straight World Series. But yeah, it's going to happen again to the Dodgers. So yeah, there you have it. The Astros are going to be your 2019 World Series champions based on my predictions. So there's my postseason predictions. What did you think about it? Make sure to let me know down in the comments below who you think is going to win the 2019 World Series. Is it going to be the Astros, the Dodgers, the Twins, the Yankees, the Braves, the Cardinals, the Rays, or did I already say the Nationals? Cardinals? I don't know. Who's going to win the 2019 World Series? Let me know down below who you think is going to win it. And make sure to subscribe to my channel for more content to come in the future. Again, I've got a very important video coming up later this weekend that I think you guys are not going to want to miss. So, yeah, make sure to stay tuned for that. And until my next video, once again, my name is the California Cougar. And always remember, stay California cool. Peace.